Right, Saturday, 3 p.m, Enzo Maresca's Chelsea side look to bounce back when we take the trip to the Vitality to play AFC Bournemouth. And after somewhat of a humbling defeat against Leeds, it is vital that we bounce back in this game. Vital that we come away with the 3 points in this game. And very, very necessary that we do something that shuts everyone up who's not a Chelsea fan right now, because they're all doing my nutting. I've honestly seen so much negativity off the back of yesterday, and I understand it. I very much understand it. At the same time, what I would argue is, if we're going on the last few seasons' form, last season especially, which by the way saw us qualify for Champions League football, a loss at some point was always going to be on the cards. We had come through a really, really tough month or so of fixtures, playing a few of the big hitters in there, and we hadn't lost. We had done really, really well against the likes of an Arsenal, a Barcelona, Liverpool, and many more. And ultimately, there's going to be a huge section of football fans and Chelsea fans especially that look at those games and say, hold on, why can't we replicate that in games against Leeds? And possibly we won't be saying it, hopefully, after the game against Bournemouth. But I do think there is a little bit of an issue here when we face some of these smaller sides in the Premier League. I would also say that we started yesterday's game without potentially our best attacking player. In fact, definitely our best attacking player in Cole Palmer. We also started the game without our most important player in Moises Caicedo. Not excuses, but just a bit of context to give you lot. But the starting lineup that was picked by Enzo Maresca did come under much scrutiny. So in today's video, I'm actually going to start it off by giving you lot the starting lineup that I would go for against Bournemouth. But people, before we get into all that, welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. If you are new around here, if you like the content and you want to see more from myself, please do subscribe to the channel. Do me a favour, smash the like button right now. Apparently, it really, really helps Chelsea out get a win. Smash that like button. Let's get into it. So just to recap my thoughts on the Leeds game, I thought the team selection was wrong. I thought that we didn't check the temperature of the room. I thought that the players didn't really understand what a big fixture that is. And really, I know there was only a few of the side that were actually even in that squad against Leeds. The game that pretty much was the nail in the coffin for Tommy Tuchel. Maybe the likes of Reece definitely was there. Trev was there. Can't think of too many others. But what I would say about that game is they really should have shown that to the boys and said, listen, the last time you came here to Ellen Road, this happened. Was it last time we went there? I believe it was. Regardless of that, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. And we need to follow it up with a win. And there are factors there. Obviously, the fact that we played with 10 men on Sunday for, an hour of the game. And we actually didn't look in that game like we were the more tired side. Like we were a side that were holding on and just trying to defend. We went toe-to-toe with Arsenal in that game. And ultimately, that will take something out of you. But at the same time, you can't look at the team selection that Enzo Maresca went with and say, well, hold on, why is there not a Joshua Changpong in there? I didn't even mention him in yesterday's video, but why is there not a Hato in there, potentially, over the likes of a Tosin Adarabioyo? And even in the game, during the match, right, if you had said to me at half-time, we're going to hook a defender here, who needs to come off, right? You're first looking at it and going, well, Trevor Chalobah's played a lot of football. You're secondly looking at it and going, well, Tosin's been the worst player in this half. This was before he gave away the goal. Tosin's been the worst player in this half. If you said to me who's probably least deserving to come off, I probably would have said either Trev or Badiashile. Badiashile hadn't even been that bad in that game. He had tried to be first to a lot of balls, and ultimately sometimes you'll miss out on doing that. But I actually thought his involvement in that first half was better than Tosin Adarabioyo's. But regardless of all of that, we need to go stronger. We need a team with very, very good mentality. And therefore, you know that I will be starting our captain in this game. So with that little spoiler for you, let's get into my team sheet. And here it is on screen now. We've got Robert Sanchez in goal. Malo Gusto in at right back. I actually thought when he was sort of injected into that match yesterday, he definitely showed a bit of promise. But I think it did taper off quite quickly. A lot quicker than it did for, let's say, Pedro Neto, who was in front of him in that game. However, I did think he looked an upgrade on what we had previously had in that space. So I'm going to give him the start here. I'm going to give Wesley Fofana the start next to Trevor Chalobah. This was one where I really had to scratch my head here, because part of me is looking at this lineup going, could you maybe do with Hato in there, left-sided cover for Cucurella, who started a lot of football recently, played a lot of football recently, or do we really look at it and go, maybe we'll push Wesley Fofana out next to Kukurea and put Joshua Changpong in there. I've been an advocate for having him in the team. I honestly do think that along with the likes of Trevor Chalobah and Wesley Fofana this season, he has been right up there, Joshua Changpong, and perhaps you might view it as even more impressive when you look at the fact that this isn't a guy that was brought in for big money. This is an academy graduate who hasn't got seasons with this team under his belt. So I would not be against Joshua Changpong starting in this match. At the same time as saying that, I do understand that it will probably be our more senior players, and I wouldn't be against that either. Kukurea in at left back. Ultimately, we need some left back cover, you know. We actually do, because we haven't seen Hato getting many minutes here. We haven't seen a lot of the boys really pushing and adding a backup to Kukurea, and I do think that that is necessary. Now, in the midfield, this is where games will be won and lost, to be completely honest with you. So although Enzo kept things ticking over a little bit yesterday, I want to see a big step up from him, and he's going to have the captain, Reece James, next to him. If Reece James can play half as well as he did against Arsenal, then I think that he will be involved in Chelsea scoring goals in this game against Bournemouth. And when you're talking about Chelsea scoring goals, there's really one man that I think we can look to, and I'm so glad that he's coming back right at this time. I'm so glad that I've put every pound on it I have to my name that he's going to be starting this match. I'm obviously talking about Cole Palmer. I think it's really, really necessary that Cole Palmer actually starts this game. I thought it was necessary that he started the match against Leeds. What you've got to remember, people, is that injury that he was coming back from, right? He was fit from that about 6 weeks ago, maybe more. He's been fit for ages from that. What happened was he apparently stubbed his toe. Whether you buy into it, whether you believe it or not, what happened was apparently he stubbed his toe. Now, there are some out there with their tinfoil hats on who think that maybe Cole Palmer might have had a little bit of surgery and it might have been a knockback from that. But regardless of that, Cole Palmer's ready to play. Cole Palmer's ready to start. And if Cole Palmer had even had a few minutes against Arsenal and then been brought on as a sub against Leeds, I think he converts that shot that Garnacho puts on a plate for him. And speaking of Garnacho, he is on the left wing with Pedro Neto on the right. I'm going to go João Pedro through the middle. Now, I know that João Pedro hasn't been massively impressive recently, but at the same time, I think that if you stick Cole Palmer behind him, we're going to see different things. And that obviously means that likes of an Esteval doesn't make it into my starting lineup today. And listen, that's not a dig at Esteval. That's nothing bad there at all. I think that Esteval has come in and lit the Premier League up and the Champions League when he's been playing for Chelsea Football Club. But at the same time, when every young kid breaks into the team, there's always that big promise, big hype, and then most of the time there's a moment when they have to ground themselves a little bit, when they have to learn about the league a little bit, and when they have to kind of accept that there are going to be players in here who you maybe don't rate from an actual natural ability playing standpoint, but they are well schooled, they're hardened, and they know how to get the job done. And I think that Esteval is now starting to realise that about the Premier League, starting to realise that talent isn't all of it, mate. It really isn't. You need to be working hard. You need to be clever. You need to make the right runs at the right time. And I think that the last two games where the manager in Enzo Maresca has put the trust in Esteval would have been a little bit of an eye-opener for him. And I don't think it's going to knock the confidence of Esteval or anything like that to sit one out. He's obviously going to come on off the bench in this game. Hopefully we don't get any red cards in it. But regardless of that, we've got to look at this fixture and we've got to be looking at it and coming away from Vitality with the 3 points. Because on this weekend that we have to come, right, we could definitely close some ground. One team that many people aren't speaking about, which they need to be, by the way, is Aston Villa. I've been watching Aston Villa for a while now and thinking, wow, these lot just going on a run now, and it's, I think, a real reflection on just what a good manager Unai Emery is. I think that last season they tapered off a little bit. At the same time, I always look at things and I go, they're well ahead of schedule, by the way, like since Unai Emery came in. And then I think that this season you're really starting to see them come back. Now, they're looking like they're going to be the closest challengers. You always have one team, whether it's the likes of a Nottingham Forest and maybe a resurgent Man United or something. Most seasons, probably a Newcastle. You always have that one team that are pushing, and that looks like it's going to be Aston Villa this year. By the way, if they beat Arsenal on Saturday, they could go within, 3 points or something of Arsenal, which would be crazy. But at the same time as that, I do think that we need them to beat Arsenal, because Aston Villa might not be able to maintain the pressure. And listen, we might not be able to either. But if I want one of Aston Villa or Arsenal to lose, I'm always going to pick Arsenal. always going to do that because Aston Villa can drop points here and there when injuries pile up and when things get a little bit heavier for them. And what we've got to acknowledge as well when we look at the teams that are in and around us is Manchester City and Sunderland are going to be playing. One of them's going to drop points. Obviously, I hope it's Manchester City. Some of you may hope it's Sunderland or vice versa. With the other match, you may hope it's Aston Villa because you may feel that they're more catchable. But I'm not really looking at this from a catch-up perspective. My expectations on Chelsea haven't really changed off the back of last night's game. It's a gutting one, but I've supported Chelsea Football Club for 30 odd years of my life, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, my whole life since I came out of the womb. So I've seen this happen before. I've seen last season us have spirited draws against certain teams. You know, seasons gone by when we've drawn 4-4 against Manchester City, pretty sure we lost the first match after that. When we drew 2-2 against Arsenal, pretty sure we lost the first match after that. In fact, we definitely did. I was there. So what I'm saying is, it's not that crazy. And I feel that everyone lives in the moment. I completely understand that. But doing this job and doing YouTube and that, I have to really look back on fixtures and try and replicate those feelings in my head and say, okay, well, I felt this way then, but how did it all turn out? And I'm telling you, don't worry, because every little thing is going to be all right. It's going to be fine, people. Don't worry too much about it. And if Chelsea do lose, listen, it's not my fault. Don't come for me. I'm just a fan. Anyway, we're not going to lose. We are going to win this one. I'm going to predict a 2-0 win to Chelsea in this one. I don't think that Bournemouth have been great at all this season. It actually surprises me that they haven't been great because I think they've got a good manager and I think they made some good reinforcements in the summer. You got Petrovic in goal, but he hasn't looked great for them or even anywhere near the level that he was looking at Chelsea and then Strasbourg. So I do think that there's definitely a lot of cause to be optimistic this weekend, but at the same time, I can see why people would be worried about this game. I can see why people would be pessimistic. And listen, I'm as gutted as all of you people. I wanted a Chelsea win yesterday. I've had banter non-stop about the fact that I said that I thought it was going to be 4 goals past Leeds and stuff like that. But at the same time, listen, not many people would have backed against that if we had gone with the starting lineup that I chose in my video before the game. If anyone wants to see that, go back and watch it. I chose a full strength lineup and I had pelters in the comments, everyone telling me, oh my god, this is completely unrealistic. Well, firstly, it's always a preferred lineup, not a predicted lineup. But secondly, you say it's unrealistic. Well, how much do all the other teams need to rotate? I think that squad depth is there, not just for the fact that when players get injured, you've got someone waiting, another cab off the rank, ready to come in. I think that squad depth's there so that you can actually start your strongest players and then wait until something maybe goes wrong in a match. I don't know. But I think that the rotation, especially amongst our backline, needs to stop now. Up top of the pitch, I don't mind it being rotated a little bit, but amongst the backline, it needs to stop as much as we can possibly do it. But regardless, let me know your thoughts on Chelsea right now. Let me know your score predictions for the game against Bournemouth. And where would you go different from my starting lineup? I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys in the comment section below. I will see you all in the next one.